When Australian and New Zealand soldiers were thrust onto the Gallipoli Peninsula, half a world away, on the 25th of April 1915, a legend was born. Brothers standing side by side in an ultimately futile campaign which claimed the lives of more than 10,000 Aussie and Kiwi soldiers. Legend tells us that those soldiers shared the ANZAC spirit, defined by courage, endurance, mateship and larrikinism. April the 25th officially became ANZAC Day in 1916, when soldiers marched through Australian cities, fated as heroes, their fallen comrades recognised as having made the ultimate sacrifice. Until the end of the war, ANZAC Day became a show of patriotism, and military parades were accompanied by recruiting campaigns to support the war effort. By the late 1920s, ANZAC Day had become a public holiday as the nation paused to remember the 60,000 Australians who died in the First World War. And by the 30s, even the smallest Australian towns marked the day with a dawn vigil coinciding with the time of the Gallipoli landing. This was followed with memorial services, marches and games of two-up. ANZAC Day had by this time become rich with symbolism. The ANZAC Memorial in Sydney, dedicated in 1932, illustrates the sacrifices made by Australians in all theatres of war. During the Second World War, ANZAC Day was a time for both remembering and recruiting Australia's war effort steeped in the spirit of the Anzacs. But in the latter half of the 20th century, the original surviving Anzacs were dwindling in number, and the relevance of ANZAC Day was receding with them. The anti-war sentiment, engendered by the protracted and unpopular conflict in Vietnam, sat at odds with the tradition of the day.
You ought to be ashamed to call yourself Australian.
However, in the past couple of decades, there's been a revival. To many, the dawn service at Gallipoli has become a rite of passage. The ANZAC spirit has become a central theme in what it means to be Australian. ANZAC Day has become a time to remember and a time to celebrate being Australian.